Coachella Valley, and welcome to Live with Your Chamber. I'm your host, Katie Stice, CEO at the Rancho Mirage Chamber of Commerce, and we're thrilled to bring you this video series where we introduce you to local business owners. We remind you to shop local and support local, great nonprofit organizations, dignitaries, those in the healthcare field. Obviously, we're getting through this time together. So thanks for tuning in. And if you're there, let us know where you're watching from, what city you're watching from, or say hello. Just a quick note also, if you are a local business looking for some PPE, at the Chamber of Commerce, we have some masks for you and some hand sanitizer. If we can help you by providing some of those to your business, please let us know. We'll make sure you have the contact information so that you can make an appointment to come and pick those up. But for now, let's welcome in our guest today. If you haven't met Carrie McDonald, she's an incredible person, great community friend, and she is the owner of Dandelion Consulting Group. What is that? Well, you're going to have to stick around to find out. Let's say hi to Carrie now. We'll bring her right into the show. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. But for now, Carrie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, absolutely. We're thrilled that you're here. And tell us a little bit about what is Dandelion Consulting Group.
So Dandelion Consulting Group is a crisis management company. So for businesses to get them prepared and to help them recover quickly in the event that a disaster or crisis does happen to their business.
And it is so important. It's something I'm also really passionate about. My dad was a firefighter for years. He was in disaster preparedness. And I am lucky enough to serve on the commission for the Rancho Mirage Emergency Preparedness Commission. And one of the reasons I know it's so important is it's about business continuity, making sure that folks can, if there is a disaster, that they can reopen their business again quickly. So tell me a little bit about how you got into this industry.
So I I came up with the idea when I was working on an ambulance as an EMT. So I would go into businesses and I would see that they didn't have the necessary means. They weren't prepared. Their staff wasn't prepared. They didn't know where the first aid kit. They didn't know if they had an AED. So I just saw a lot of confusion from the business standpoint. And I was like, there needs to be someone that educates businesses in this and helps them, because the businesses, they know either their retail store or their restaurant, and they don't think about the preparedness or the other things on the back end. So I was like, and I saw more and more of it. And I was just like, we need to do something about this. So that's how I came up with it.
Incredible. And what are some of the key things that you think, if someone's out there watching, like this subject might be overwhelming to a business? Like, what on earth do I need to do? There's technology, there's important papers, there's a plan with your staff. I mean, what do you recommend a good starting point would be?
A good starting point is having the businesses talk to their staffs and say, hey, who is CPR certified? Who knows first aid? Who's in control of the first aid kit to make sure that it's constantly being replenished and that it's updated and stuff. So that'd be like the first step, is just, start with the basic CPR, first aid, who's going to be in control of monitoring the first aid kit.
I love that. I'm taking mental notes because I'm sure my next staff meeting, this is exactly what we're going to talk about. Next question for you is, when it comes to technology, obviously is huge to have backup, maybe backup off site. Will you help a business navigate like what software to use, what programs to use, things like that? Or how does that work?
So I don't do the software, but I have a couple computer companies that I refer to. So if they need the IT backups, the cloud and the malware protection and all that. So there are a couple computer IT companies that I can suggest for them to get in contact with to protect their information technology.
Great. To me, that's always the thing that sticks out in my mind is, if for something were to happen, will the chamber be able to reopen quickly and communicate with our members? And I'm sure for all the businesses out there, they're probably wondering too, how can I reopen and connect with my customers and help them as well? What about important paperwork? I mean, what do you recommend people do with them? Is it a safety deposit box? I mean, what are the options out there that you, in the expert in the field, recommend?
So when I do businesses, I usually have them do like a binder. So everything's in a binder, and then I give them a thumb drive, and then I suggest they keep it on the cloud. So there's 3 different backups. So in case the cloud servers go down, in case you lose internet, you have a thumb drive, and then you also have a paper version in case there's a power outage. So have like 3 different ways, because if you have a paper, you can grab and go if like the building's on fire or something, and you can't take the computer. And so there's one of them that's gone. So then you still have the cloud and the paper.
And then when you come into a business, I obviously want to talk about some of the first things that you do, but would you actually help walk a business through having an emergency plan for their business? I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of what you do. So if someone were to contact you or hire you, how do you begin that process with them?
So it's a complimentary consultation. So I go and see what they currently have. So
Okay.
do they have the injury illness prevention programs? Do they have employee handbooks? Have they been doing the staff meetings? Do they know who's in charge of calling a manager if an event happens after hours? So I get like the basics first, and then I'll say, okay, these are our steps that we need to do from here. This is what I recommend. Like, which ones do you want to start with now? Because we can't do like a 1 month thing, like one time thing, or there's an annual package.
And how often do you recommend people update their entire emergency preparedness plan?
So anytime you have new hires,
Mhm.
or so every quarter usually, so train like going over, because after 3 months you're going to forget the stuff. So
Mhm.
regular trainings and regular reviews of it. And if you have a new hire and stuff, show them the binder, the business impact analysis, everything, so they know what's expected, that your business does have these things for them to be prepared, and quarterly like trainings.
I appreciate that so much. And I guess the only other thing, and I don't know if you'll really have an answer for this, except for people to budget, but do you see businesses budget for their safety planning? And is there a budget that you recommend? Because you do want to have things on hand. You, I don't know. What do you recommend when it comes to that?
So most businesses do not budget for the preparedness aspect. They go, oh, they think like their insurance is going to cover, but insurance is a little late because they don't have anything prepared.
Mhm.
So so that's part of it. But getting prepared does not have to be a budget. There are hundreds of things that you can do that are free or cheap. So like putting all your binders stuff in a binder, it's 97 cents for a binder, and making copies. So there are plenty of inexpensive resources that businesses can do to get started.
Perfect. And anything else that you want to leave us with? If there were just a couple of key things that you think would be helpful to folks out there kind of listening and trying to navigate a little bit. I mean, other than obviously calling you, I recommend to all of you watching to really pick up the phone. The contact information is on the screen. You can also email. I'm really passionate about this because it's so important to plan and prepare and be able to reopen. Like Carrie was saying, insurance companies, it's going to take a while. You really have to be prepared to be on your own for quite a while. So I recommend reaching out for help to the experts to take out some of the guesswork. But Carrie, are there other pieces that you think would be helpful for folks to know?
So I would start with a first aid kit. So that is one of the one of the most common things that OSHA does fine for, because surprisingly 90% of the businesses in the California will fail the OSHA inspection
Mm.
because they have over the counter medications and stuff like that that should not be in there. So do a first aid evaluation, see what's in your kit, and see if they're expired, because expired things in there, because bandages do expire and everything like that. So that's like the first thing, is just make sure you have the first aid supplies, because if something does happen, you want to have those bandages, and you want to have scissors and stuff like that to make sure you can do the first aid that is needed at that time.
Oh my gosh. Again, I'm taking a lot of mental notes and I'm thinking, oh, there's a lot we need to check off our list. And we want to make sure everyone is compliant, OSHA compliant, everyone's planning and really becoming prepared as well. Well, we appreciate you coming on and sharing so much about who you are, what you do, and why you do it as well. And for those of you who are out there tuning in, You'll see Carrie out at chamber events, out in the community. Encourage you again to give a ring, learn more about your own safety preparedness plans. There's a lot of resources out there. And I think part of the direction that she's going to guide you in is, what are the laws? What do you need to do for your team? Because you actually need to do quite a few things for your team. Is that right?
There are a few things, yes.
Oh, I love it. And tell us again, how long have you been in this industry?
So I started my company in 2018, at the end of 2018, and then I was in EMS for about almost 10 years.
Wow. Okay. So you have an expert right here available to you. I feel like this is a sign for everyone who's out there watching that it's time. But Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today on Live with Your Chamber. We appreciate all that you do to help businesses. Promise to come back and do this again. Like if there's a little earthquake or something when it's on people's minds, then we'll just quick set up a little interview and say, we told you this was going to happen. Now let's put a plan in place before a worse one comes. How about that?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, my friend. We'll see you soon. You take care of yourself.
All right, see you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. And thanks so much for tuning in today to learn about a small business. Obviously, Carrie is absolutely a perfect example of a small business that does great work right inside our community. And we want you to give a call. Definitely always shop local, shop small when you can as well, but a great resource to the community. And lastly, I just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, KESQ News Channel 3 and CBS Local 2 for sponsoring Live with Your Chamber. And we just appreciate your support so much. If there's ever anything that I can do for you personally, for your business, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what your Chamber of Commerce is here for. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.